That's the only reason I showed up.
Alright, just go ahead and hold what I gave you for now, and I'll talk about it a little bit. So my name is Sharice Whiteco. I'm going to talk about food. We can all agree eating healthy is important, but the problem is deciding what we pick up at the grocery store is healthy or not. So if you find food that you think is healthy, is it really healthy? If the schools allow it to be put in there, the government rather, to be put in the schools and the children are eating it, does that really mean that it's healthy? If the Food and Drug Administration approves it, does that mean it's healthy? What is in our food that gives it the vibrant color? Is it healthy? A lot of times when I go shopping and you do that mental checklist, is it healthy or is it not? What do you use for your guide? I'm going to tell you a little bit about my journey. Let's see. I have a child who, she's my middle child now. She was super hyperactive, can't focus on anything. She would request something, and while I was trying to fill her request, she would say something else. So she may say, I want some water. While I'm trying to get the water, I want ice. While I'm trying to get, no, I want the blue cup. Before I'm trying to grab the blue cup, she wants the green spoon. I mean, it was really hard for me to keep up with her. So I started off by taking her to the doctors. So the doctors recommended me parenting books. She was 2 at the time, so they just felt that I needed some help with parenting. They also said it was her age. I wasn't happy with that answer. So I made an appointment with the behavioral therapist, and I took her to the behavioral therapist, and she did some calming techniques with her, which helped while we were in the office, but didn't help when we got home. She also recommended some parenting books and also suggested that maybe it was my anxiety that was really the problem and not my child. I didn't really like that answer either. So I went where most people go, not the best choice, but the internet. Never know what it's going to say, right? So I searched the internet and I kept seeing the same thing over and over. Her behavior was linked to dyes that were in her food. Never knew what a dye was before. High fructose corn syrup. Heard a little bit about it, but didn't know much about it. So I kept researching over and over what those things are. I also researched some homeopathic remedies to help calm her down, melatonin. But I didn't really think that I needed to drug my child, homeopathic or not, to get her to calm down. I just felt there was something bigger going on. There are plenty alternatives to dyes. Most of the dyes that you'll find in your foods carry known carcinogens. According to foodsafetynews.com, the food industry dumps over 15 million pounds of food or dyes in the food that we eat, which really turned my stomach. The big one that I found was linked to the symptoms I felt she had was red 40. Lots of healthy alternatives can be blueberry juice, concentrated carrot juice, paprika, beet juice, things of those lines. I started researching foods in London versus here. I have a sister-in-law who lives there, and she was saying that a lot of the foods aren't made the same. So the same strawberry milkshake that you get in the U.S. is dyed with red 40, where in London it's made with real strawberries. So in comparing some of those foods sold, the difference is clear. If you start looking at the number of cancer patients in each country, the numbers will blow your mind. And I really do feel that the dyes have a lot to do with it. Let me just go and get you some numbers here. Okay, according to cancer.gov, in 2015, an estimated 1.7 million new cases of cancer will be diagnosed in the U.S., but only 589,000 in the UK. There's got to be something with the food we're consuming, I thought. If you compare cancer patients just in 2011 from the U.S. and UK, you'll see that the U.S. showed almost 1.6 million, where the UK was only 331,000. Now the government over there, when they started seeing the correlation between dyes and cancer, other behavioral issues, they went ahead and pulled Red 40 off the market along with a lot of other dyes. They're only allowed to use natural things to dye their foods. So they pulled that off beginning 2010, yet we're still feeding our people that. So you have to decide what you want to put in your body. I made the decision to go ahead and give it a test run since I didn't like the doctor's answers. I didn't like the behavioral therapist's answers. So I started reading food labels. Kraft macaroni and cheese, that had to go. We now buy Annie's organic macaroni and cheese. Instead of those Nutri-Grain bars that are loaded with Red 40 and high fructose corn syrup, I buy the Fig bars, and they love them. They don't know the difference. They're a lot healthier, and they're really not much more expensive. I could get really into like your portion food size, what you should really be eating. If you're really eating what you should be eating and not overeating, it's not expensive. I really can't stand when people say it's expensive to eat healthy. What is your life worth? What's your quality of life worth? Think about it. Should you put that crap, is what I call it, in your body and kill yourself, get cancer, and cry the blues that you have problems, but you didn't ever control what you put in your mouth? I feel as a parent, it's my responsibility, your responsibility if you're a parent too, to start looking at what you're putting in your family's mouth. Is it worth saving 50 cents or maybe $1 on that food item? You know? My kids hardly ever go to the doctor. Her behavior is a lot better. I've monitored everything. Once in a while when she gets a treat and I know it has a dye in it, I can see the difference. I swear, I can see the difference in her behavior. So, food for thought. I gave you all a handout, a card. There's the difference between the Nutri-Grain bars you buy in the US, the Nutri-Grain bars you buy in the UK. Now when you go through the grocery store, I'd like you to really think about what you're buying, what you're putting in your cupboards, what you're putting in your mouth, what you're putting in your family's mouth. Are you taking care of yourself? Or are you putting, I guess, cancer, you could say, in your body? Not to say that you're not going to get cancer if you don't eat Red 40, but that's one of my big concerns. So, in conclusion, look at what you're putting in your mouth.